Hey, this is Angie Brown, and this fall long, we're going to take a look at setting up a NAT instance, which is different from a NAT gateway since NAT gateway is a managed service. NAT instance is the idea of setting up your own NAT. And there is this nice article on Kibasa. It is outdated since it's from 2019, so there are some tweaks we have to do to get something similar working. But I originally thought that I would go to the marketplace and just launch up a NAT instance. Turns out there really wasn't any community AMIs, or at least that I could find, that would have been suitable for NAT instance, or if there were paid ones, I just did not want to proceed forward. So really all we need to do to have a NAT instance is we need to launch an EC2 instance and configure IP tables to act as a NAT and do network address translation. And that's what we are going to do. I'm going to tell you, this is my 5th time trying to record this. It is that much of a headache, so just carefully follow through, and hopefully we'll make it through it. I had to pull my co-founder to figure it out. And it's not to say this stuff is hard, but like when you're dealing with networking, especially at the OS level, it's very easy to muck things up and miss something. Especially if you're like me and you're a developer, not necessarily from the networking background. But anyway, we'll go ahead here and just say NAT instance as we create our new VPC. 10.0.0.16 is fine. 1AZ we'll set as that. I'm going to drop this down, make sure it's 1A central. One public subnet, one private subnet, no gateway, no VPC endpoint. Make sure both DNS options are enabled. That will go ahead and create that. Our VPC is now ready. So the next thing we need to do is we need to go and launch 2 EC2 instances. The first is going to be just a regular old EC2 instance that we're going to place in our... Actually, I was just thinking about this. We should launch the NAT instance first and hook it up, and then the other EC2 instance, because if we want to use Sessions Manager to connect to our EC2 private instance, if it goes and tries to talk to the agent and there is no way to route to it, it's just going to fail. So we should really set up our NAT instance first. You can see previous attempts here. So we'll go ahead and type in NAT instance at the top so we know what we're doing. We can go ahead and choose Amazon Linux 2023. Note that the version is here. If we drop down, we can use ARM if we want. I'm going to stick with x86 here just because that's what my co-founder was utilizing, and I just want to get through this unscathed. We're going to go down below. I'm going to switch this over to a T3 micro because T2 is so darn old at this point. I don't need a key pair to log in here. I'm going to update the network, make sure that I'm choosing 10.0.0.16 for our NAT instance. This one is supposed to be the public subnet because the NAT instance has to go out to the internet. And that is the whole point there. I'm going to assign it an IP address because it's absolutely going to need one. We are going to create a new security group. I might already have one. So if I do, I just want to delete it first so that it's out of my way. So I don't have like naming conflicts and stuff like that. When we go over here, yeah, I have one here. I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. And we'll go back over to here. This will be our NAT instance SG. Just so I don't have a conflict, I'm just going to put 2 on the end there. I'm going to remove this rule here. I'm going to add a new ingress rule. And I'm going to just say for everywhere, for all traffic. For advanced details, this is very important as we need to configure our user data. Now, we can log into this instance and do this. I have it here. It is very similar to that article that I linked. This is exactly how Bako did it, so I'm going to follow his exact instructions. But I do know that this one could be separated into a single line. But I'm going to go ahead and just copy this here. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to go... I'm going to deviate here. And I like this line better because it does it in one line, right? So in here, you can see... we echo, we're just putting in that file, then we do sudo, but like, I feel like we should just do this. So that's what I'm going to do instead. So I'm just going to tweak that. But this line is almost the same as this article. The difference is that this one says Ethernet 0, and this one is ENS 5. So I'm thinking that that was pretty much the reason why mine wasn't working in my previous attempts. We'll do sudo yum IP tables install. This sysctl here. And then this last one, which is updating the IP tables to have NAT post routing ENS5 from anywhere, and it's going to masquerade it. And that's how you do that. So hopefully all those lines are fine. And we'll go ahead and launch this instance from anywhere here. Sorry. So yeah, I think that is fine. We'll go ahead and launch that instance. And we'll have to wait for that to completely launch. But while we're waiting, we can update the security here to have, or sorry, the networking to say from anywhere, because if we don't do this, that's not what I wanted. We'll go back here again. Under networking, we need to update this so that it allows us to receive traffic from anywhere and not just from our own IP address, and because that's what a NAT does, right? And we need to wait for those checks to pass. Otherwise, we cannot set up the route table. We might be able to do it. Let's go find out. But from the private route table, we need to route traffic to that internet gateway, or that NAT instance. So if we go to our route table and we go into our private one here, and we go to routes and edit it, the question is, can we do that, or will it wait for that instance to launch up? We can. Excellent. From 00000. Excellent. So the idea now is that if the NAT is ready, we should, in theory, be able to go ahead and launch that. So, I'm going to, again, wait for those checks to pass. And once they're done, we'll launch our other instance. But while we're waiting, we might as well just get that instance ready to go. So we'll just say EC2. As we're just doing everything through the terminal here today to make our lives super easy. I'm going to say launch instance. This one's going to be our private server. It'll be Amazon Linux 2. I'm going to just switch it to T3 Micro. T3 Micro, here it is. And I don't want to keep here. We're going to change our network. We're going to drop this down to 10.0.0.16. This one has to be in the private subnet. I'm going to use the exact same firewall, so it's a security group, because it's going to just allow access from everywhere. And so everything else seems fine. And the other thing is that we need to just make sure we give that instance role that EC2 SSM role. And in fact, I actually don't know if I did that for this one. So I'm going to go back here and take a look. And I didn't attach the IAM role. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Instance. And I'm going to go ahead and I think it's instance setting, security, IAM role, modify this. And I'm going to drop down, choose EC2 SSM role. If you're wondering what's in that, we've created that role in other ones. It's just containing the core managed SSM policy. So we've made it so many times, I'm not going to go and make it a 10th time here. So just go look that up if you're not sure. And so when you update an IAM role, you actually do have to reboot it. So even though this did do that, I'm going to have to reboot it. I wish I had made sure we set that initially. But we're going to have to wait for this reboot to finish. I really don't trust these reboots, so I'm going to stop the instance completely. Okay. I'm going to wait for it to stop. I'm going to start it back up, okay? All right, so we're going to start this instance back up. I'm going to refresh this here, sorry. Oh, it's still stopping. Okay, I guess we'll wait for it to fully stop. Usually it doesn't take that long for instances to stop. I'm not sure why it's taking so long. All right, let's see if it stopped now. There we go. I'm going to start that back up. And so it should, in theory, run the script again. Again, not sure why it's, there we go. It's starting up. So there's that. The thing is that we did shut it down and start it back up. So I don't trust the VPC because it's not using a static IP address. This is probably where it'd be a good idea to actually attach an EIP. So I'm going to actually go ahead and do that. So I'm going to allocate an IPv or an IP address. And we'll go ahead and associate that with the instance. Okay. And that way it will follow it around no matter where it goes. I'm going to go back over to VPC. I'm just going to double, triple check the route tables, as I really do want these to be set up correctly and we don't have any issues. But I'm pretty sure it would already know to point to the right place. So just in case it's not, I'm going to go ahead and just reassociate it, because I really don't trust it. We'll go back and refresh this. So the idea is that once this instance is up, then we can go ahead and launch our other instance. So I'm waiting for those 2 status checks to pass. While that's going, let's go back over here. And this one is ready to go. So we will just patiently wait for this these 2 status checks to pass, okay? All right, we'll give this a nice refresh here, and we have 2 out of 2 status checks passing. So this NAT instance should be in good shape. We can also connect to it before we launch the other instance, and just take a quick look here. I don't really remember what I was using for debugging, but I think that it wouldn't hurt for us to poke around and make sure our configuration is what we think it is. So we'll go ahead and type this in, sudo su. So there's that sysctl command. And in here, we can go ahead and just say display all the variables. And one that we did set in here was for IPv4. I think that's what it was. It was IPv4 forward. Or sorry, we'll just say IP forward and see what we get. And notice that it's set to 0. So even though we use this command, which I utilized here, let's go ahead and copy that again. I'll paste it in and hit enter. Sudo. And you know what? This is probably why this command didn't work, is because I didn't have sudo in here. That's probably why. So we'll just save that. So it's a good thing we double check. And you know, I would always say that it's a good habit to always double, triple check your work there. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and do this again. And so now we can see that it's set to 1. The other thing is the IP tables. So that's something I'm going to want to check. I believe we can do IP tables -LVVL. Does that, let's say, show all IP tables rules. Because I always forget what it is. Yeah, it's like -L-V to list all rules. Okay, so there's this. We'll paste it in. And we'll try this again. If it doesn't say, just type in sudo IP tables. So it's not showing, whoop, just take that part out of it. Nope, that's not working. That's not working. Are we sure IP tables is there? Sudo IP tables. So this is where I don't trust that refresh. And that was my major concern, was that this might not be set up. So I'm just gonna run all of this manually because I don't trust any of it. Sudo yum -y install IP tables. And so that's gonna go install IP tables. And then we'll grab this last command here, the sudo IP tables NAT, and hit enter. And so it says it's installed. And then we'll try this command. I'll try that again. Yeah, I just want to list all of them. So we'll grab this. I mean, we only need IPv4 rules, to be honest. So we can just go ahead and try that again. And it's not very verbose, so we'll go ahead and say be a little bit more verbose. And I want everything, so we'll do N. It says that's an illegal operation. I mean, heck, they're using it. There's the -L, so let's go ahead and try -L. This is looking more normal to what I expect. But what I'm looking for is this command that we set up. And I don't think NAT will show up unless we do -t NAT. So this is another unusual thing that we'd have to do this. And just type in clear here again. So if we do that, I think that I'm not seeing anything. Do you know what I mean? So like I'm expecting to see that command there, but it's definitely not showing up. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this command again and paste it in. Just make sure that it is actually indeed running it. Notice that it's doing this. So it's making me think that I actually didn't execute that command. I think it's just because I have a exclamation mark on the end there. We'll go back and try this again. And so now we have it in here, okay? So, you know, I always think that it's very useful to go in and double, triple check stuff before we run it. So now we should be set up for natting. I'm going to go over to our EC2 instance. And this one should be set up to launch. So we have an EC2 SSM role. We have our same security group, so it should be fine. It allows it from everywhere. We are going into the private subnet, which is correct. We're not launching with a key pair. And so we should be in good shape. So let's go ahead and launch this instance. And I'm going to go back over to here. And I'm going to wait for our private server to completely launch up. And then we'll see if we can connect, okay? All right, so our private server is running. So let's go ahead and see if we can establish a connection, because this is how we're going to know whether this is going to work. And as you can see, I cannot establish a connection. So I'll be back, okay? All right, so I literally called Baco, and we stepped through everything, and then all I did was I did a hard refresh on this page. That's all I did. And then I went to our private server, and I went to connect, and then the Sessions Manager didn't have the error. So this is a thing that Sessions Manager sometimes does, and you have to give it a hard refresh on the page, and it's so frustrating. But at least I got in without issue now. So we go to here and say EC2 instance. We should be able to do a wget on ifcurl, or ifconfig.me maybe. And I'm just going to go ahead and just change it so it's like hyphen here and just say -o. Because what I'm looking for is just, well, do we have curl installed? Yeah, we do. We'll curl this instead, config.me. Because all I want to do is get back the IP address to show that I'm making it out to the internet. So there you go. Maybe not as painful for you, but extremely painful for me to do this lab. But I thought it was very useful to know how to do this because, you know, NAT gateways are expensive. And if you can utilize a NAT instance, even in a limited case, I think it is worth your time. But let's go ahead and shut down these servers. And once those are shut down, we'll then go delete our VPC, okay? All right, so those are shutting down. And by the way, I still have this session open. It's killed now, but if you do an ifconfig, you'll notice that this says ENS5, and so that was one of the changes from Amazon Linux 2 to Amazon Linux 2023 was that it's no longer ETH0, it's ENS5 for whatever reason. Anyway, I'm going to go over to our VPC now, and I think we can go ahead and clean this up. Delete, and we'll delete this. And we are now all in great shape. I might just make sure that security group is gone because we might have manually created it. It is gone as well, so that is good. But yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Ciao.